you know. Big ass spider. Yeah, all right. I'll just see myself up now. So, all right, big ass spider. This one here. My good friend from Germany, Lord Kratos, sent me this film. So I'm off to go watch it. I've never heard of this before. Like, I recognize the guy at the front. I know him from Heroes. I think he was able to read minds in there and then control minds later on. Right? Yeah, that was them. That was him. And, well, from the front, it apparently is an official selection for the SXSW and Fantasy. I have no idea what the SXSW means or stands for. I could probably Google it. Maybe I'll do that after this if I still remember. Probably not. You know what it's like, audience. It probably depends on how good the film is, really. But it got selected at like the film festival to 2013 for like fantasy and whatever SXSW stands for. So it couldn't be totally shite, can it, audience? I hope not. Keeping my eye on you, Lord Kratos. Kratos. Ah, it doesn't matter. I'm Dutch anyway, so we make up words. So, yeah, it's... the Kammerjäger Alex is zufällig vor Ort und... yeah, let's not run German here. But... I'm guessing basically... King Kong, Godzilla, you know, your typical kaiju film with a giant-ass spider, I'm guessing. Just a giant-ass spider. I'm guessing this is not like that movie with the... I almost wanted to say arachnophobia, but that's not the one I mean. That's with the tiny spiders that kill people. Cult film right there. But like the one with like... They open up a cave and like a gazillion giant spiders come out. I forgot what it was called. But apparently it reminded people of Starship Troopers and Tarantula. I've never seen Tarantula. I've never heard of Tarantula. But I freaking love Starship Troopers. So if it's anywhere near that, I am going to absolutely love it. But anyway, yeah. It's a giant kaiju film. I'm a huge ass kaiju fan. It might be an American production, but it doesn't matter. Secretly, I kind of enjoyed the 1998 Godzilla film as well. As a kid, anyway. I haven't seen it in like 15 years or longer, but still. I used to love it as a kid. I don't know what it says about me, but there you have it. Anyway, let's go! Alright, so we just got done watching Big Ass Spider. Now, this was definitely your typical, like, B-movie. And I mean by that it feels also very much done on purpose to be made into a B-movie. It feels there's a certain professionalism, like they could have turned this into a serious film, but they were like, but we're kind of low on budget to really, like, the spider's not bad looking, but it feels like it's decent enough for a B-movie budget, and it feels like they knew they were limited by budget, so they were just like, let's just play on the B-movie thing. Let's just play on there. And you feel it in a lot of cliches that are in the film, like there's this Mexican security guard, Jose, and he is very typical, like the cliche Mexican. He's a security guard at the hospital, and he meets the main character, and they work together, and like, in his words, he's the Robin to his Batman. And then you have like the girl that the main character also meets, it's the kind of thing like, hey, there's this chick, she's hot, we're gonna be lovers. And then, no, I don't like you, I'll save your life. Oh yes, you are fantastic, babe. You know, that sort of cliche. It plays really into that. So, no, it sounds really bad from this, but the humor in the film was actually, it was fairly good. The humor is good. There's some on-point references. like on-point references. Like none of them are outdated really. There's like a reference to what's the guy's name? Antoine Dodson, like the hide your kids, hide your wife, and there's a giant ass spider coming. You know, it was that kind of reference where it's a little bit like, oh god, like probably a lot of people that will watch this now will have no idea on like what's going on, but it's also not really important. It's just a bunch of weird guys that they're interviewing. And with those interviews, like there's a spider on the loose, and then you see those people in the neighborhood talking, and you really get out like, yeah, this was made to be a B movie. It has a certain like acting, like in Scary Movie and stuff, you know, like a little bit exaggerated, like not really serious, but you can feel that they had fun on set, probably like a lot of fun. So that's really nice. The movie was definitely very fun to watch. So as you expected for a B movie monster film, scientists found genetic material on Mars, and it makes shit grow very quickly. So they're like, yo, giant tomatoes will feed the world. And oh no, there were spiders in one of the tomatoes. Now we have giant spiders. So one of them, probably by an accident in the military base, a corpse gets sent off to the hospital, and then we have a brain freeze. No, but the spider gets loose from the corpse there and bites the, how do you call it, like the examiner, the guy that works with dead bodies. There's a name for that type of thing, but I'm not English myself, so sometimes I forget these terms. Coroner. Ha, I knew it before. Usually I end these type of recordings and then afterwards I'm like, it's coroner, you idiot. But my brain is starting to work this time with me. Thank you, brain. Thank you. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, so the main character, it's his day off, but there's this weird lady it's actually a pretty funny scene, who calls him up anyway because he's on his speed dial. It's like, you know, the type of older lady that's like, oh, you don't have a girlfriend, do ya? You know, and he's just helping her out. And but yeah, he gets bit by a brown recluse spider, and well, he goes off to the hospital to get some help. He tries to pick up a nurse, but she's like, no. And he's typically the type of guy that's like, I see a girl and she's hot, I'm in love. That kind of cliche, you know. Yeah, so with the nurse, she turns him down, and this military, I forgot her name, like a colonel or a partner to like the big chief sergeant in charge of the entire project. It was also a very famous actor. Hang on. Ray Wise. Like, if you're like, who is that? Just look him up on Google, and you'll probably recognize his face from a lot of like B films to proper films, if you would like to call it like that. But yeah, you know, he sees her and he immediately falls in love with her as well. You know, like, I'll do anything for you, and they actually end up together at the end of the film, which kind of feels like, ugh, but it also kind of feels like it's done because that's a B movie cliche, and you feel like they put it in there because they know it's a B movie cliche, so they put it in there. But yeah, the spider is like this big in the start until it turns like King Kong size at the end, and they have to stop it. And the thing is with the film, it knows it's a B movie, but you know those accidental B movies, like films that they try to do seriously and ended up as B horror films, or with just low B movies because they're low budget and bad actors, but the director actually had the full intentions of making like a serious horror film, like a good horror film, but it's just, yeah, nice try, A+ for effort. But yeah, this does feel like it's, we want to be a B horror film, like all the typical cliches, you know. And a good film is R-rated, so we'll put in the gore and R-rated for the R-rated stuff. But what you're typically used from an actual B movie, it also feels like this film is trying to be like, oh, but we better stick with being PG-13. You know the real like 80s B-movie horrors. They were always like slasher films as well. It was like, yeah, violence and titties. Yeah, pretty much violence and titties. This movie's got some of the violence, not so much the titties, but that's fine. Yeah, let's talk about YouTube. Oh God. But yeah, it's definitely trying hard to be a B-movie, but it's not an accidental B-movie. And I feel like the accidental B-movies are usually a little bit, I want to say it's a better film, because this is a better film, I guess, in that aspect. It's fun. It's not a good film, but it's a fun film. And I think that's also a thing you need to consider. Like, currently it holds a 5.3 rating on IMDb, which on one hand I'm saying, like, for the type of quality film that it is, it feels a little bit on the high side. But for the fun that it is, I think personally I would give this film a 6.5 out of 10. Like, there's definitely enjoyment. It's not like you're gonna watch this for like the plot or like oh, good storytelling. It's just giant spider attacks. Yes, let's watch how this plays out. Like, you know, it's a disaster film in all the right ways. You know, just grab your popcorn and enjoy the dumb stuff on the screen. That's pretty much it. And I can appreciate it at times. I can definitely appreciate that. And that's what this, and this is definitely a good attempt at it. Although a bit done, at times it feels a bit too on purpose for what makes, like, most B movies, like, extremely memorable. And while this is probably not one of the films that will stay memorable, at the time of watching, I was not bored and I had fun. So yeah, I would definitely give this film, just on the enjoyment meter, a 6.5 out of 10. Now for the horror parts, actually, the horror parts. The start does it actually pretty well. Like, once the spider gets bigger, it's a bit just like, it's not so much horror as it is just your typical, like, you know, as much as like Godzilla or King Kong starts rampaging in town. But when the spider is still small, and he's like going down the shaft, like the air shafts in the hospital, and he's trying to find the spider, and it just tickles right in front of the screen, or it's like in the dark and it's creeping up behind him. You know, it's done okayish. It's done okayish. It's not like real suspenseful horror, but they keep the little spider a bit hidden, and you know, and that's one of the things I do think that the film made a poor choice in, is how the film starts. You know how sometimes a movie has a big finale, like for this case, the spider is giant and he's like climbing on top of the buildings in the city, and the movie starts at the point of the spider being like giant and like, raw, you can't stop me. And you have the point where the character just, like, you know, you have the music, the people move in the background, they're running away, and he just walks towards the danger, and then, you know, it goes to the 12 hours earlier or something like that. And it's just like, that felt unnecessary, because they showed a big spider already and everything. It just feels like a, oh, just in case you start watching this film and you're like, oh, this spider isn't big, I'm going to turn it off immediately. We're going to show you that there really is a big-ass spider, so you know, and don't turn off the channel. I actually think that's a poor film choice. Like, it would have started off better if it was just him showing up at the lady's house, trying to help her with vermin, getting bit by the spider, going to the hospital, and then it's like, hey, there's a spider in the corpse, instead of starting the movie with right off the bat with like, giant spider coming soon, and then we actually start the movie from the start. I think it's a weird storytelling choice. So if there's anything I would have changed about the movie, it would be that point. Just cut out the beginning of the film and begin where the story actually begins. So yeah, but overall, I had fun with this film. It was definitely fun. The spider had some fun tricks, like, you know, the spider web was really sticky and it was flammable, and you know, that leads up to like an entire plan on how to beat the thing, because he becomes nearly indestructible. And there's even a fun, like, end credit scene joke at the end that actually plays into, like, hey, a possible sequel, but then it does steer off where this film finds a middle ground between we're trying to be a little bit seriously, but it also feels like a theater production, like, you know, with the overacting, and like it's definitely like, hey, we're a B movie, we know it, you know it, let's just have fun with this kind of attitude that the film has. The end credits scene is pretty much just like Machete, you know, which was like a cult, like just a over-the-top film. But then the end credits scene teases like a sequel thing where they're really like, balls off the wall nuts, we're going all out next time. Now, from my understanding, this film sadly did not get the opportunity to do a sequel, which is kind of a shame, I guess. But it's also, you know how usually with end credit scenes, you're like, if you enjoy the film and there's an end credit scene and there's never a sequel, you're kind of like, shit, I kind of would have liked to see how this would have played out. In this case, it also just works as a fine joke, just a little joke by itself, just a little funny wink at the entire situation or these type of films in general. So it's not really necessary to see a sequel, but I wouldn't not watch a sequel if it got one. That's for sure. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Big Ass Spider. Now, next up, we still have the others. I thought I had the DVD lying here, but it's probably just put it back in my DVD cabinet. But it's I think it was a horror film. So that will be coming up soonish, quite soonish. Because I'm going to try and do it more like this when I watch films for the first time. Instead of, I should really try and work out an actual script thing or write down points, which I keep saying I should, but I never do. But yeah, maybe I really should write down some points. Ah, well, we'll see how it goes. You know, we're just having fun with it. That's the important part. We're having fun with this. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching this little review thingy sort of thing. I'm not sure how to call this. We'll put something in the title somewhere. Probably just watching for the first time, but not a let's watch. But yeah, that's not interesting to you anyway, is it, audience? No, audience, it's not. Anyway, as I was saying, thank you for watching. And if you have not yet, please give it a like and a subscribe. Would really help me out. And if there's anything else you would like to see, name it. Name it down in the comments below. Film suggestions, whatever. Is there something from Power Rangers, something from Star Wars, something from Transformers, something from, I don't know what else I've talked about, Ninja Turtles, Dragon Ball Z, all the things I enjoy. If there's something like, hey, I would love to know your thoughts on this or that, let me know. Let me know so I can, how do you say that? Handle it. Like, take a look at it. You know, take a look at it. And let you know what I think about it. Thank you for watching, audience, and goodbye. Boop.